Hey guys, let's answer questions on what life is really like by our poet Beverly Rycroft. So it says here what life is really like. You need to toughen up, my father would complain. When I was small, I ought to take you to see chickens having their heads chopped off. That would teach you what life is really like. He'd seek me out when one of his pigeons crazed for home or met with terror from a roaring hawk would tumble into the loft, mutilated by wire or beak. I was the one made to clench my palms round its pumping chest, to keep it still while my father's hairy fingers stitched its garroted throat, angrily to rise again. You see, life is a fight for survival, he'd shout, forgetting he was not lecturing his students or giving his inaugural address. You gotta roll with the punches. I waited and waited for that bitter roughness to spy me and circle into land. Years and years of flinching anticipation until the day I came home from hospital and my father dressed my wound, easing with practiced hands the drip from my bulldozed chest. He renewed the plaster in breathing silence, never speaking, never once saying, life's a bastard, toughing up. Okay, so we have the questions there. We are given 6.2.1 that says, give 2 reasons why this poem can be identified as a free verse. Okay, so we know that a free verse poem is a poem that does not follow any rules of literature or rules of poetry, right? So we can say here that the stanzas differ in length. You can also say that there is no fixed rhyming scheme. Okay, and now let's go to the next question of 6.2.2. It says, refer to the first 3 stanzas. Name 2 incidences the father used as as examples to teach his child that life is tough. Okay, let's go to the first 3 stanzas. So the first one is when he took his daughter to see chickens having their heads chopped off. And then the second one is when he showed his daughter the events when one of his pigeons crazed for home or were met with terror from a roaring hawk and they would get injured. And then another one that you may use is the one where he made her clench her palms around his pigeon's chest so he may stitch it. So here you can write that the slaughtering of chickens and you can also say that assisting with treating an injured pigeon. Okay, now let's go to the next question of 6.2.3. It says refer to lines 11 and 12. And at A it says identify the figure of speech used in these lines. Let's go to lines 11 and 12. What does it say here? Lines 11 and 12. Okay, let's count because there is no indication of sentence numbers here. So we have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. Okay, so line 11 says crazed for home or mad with terror. Alright, so they said we must identify the figure of speech. The figure of speech here would be personification. And then we have question B down there. It says, explain why this figure of speech is relevant to this poem. Okay, we can say that it effectively describes the agitated state of the pigeon after he nearly does not make it home or is accosted by comparing him to a crazy person who is mad with terror. Okay, and now let's continue to 6.2.4. It says refer to stanza 3. Quote one word that proves the pigeon was not coming home slowly. Okay, let's go to stanza 3. It says here, I was the one made to clench my palms around its pumping chest, to keep it still, while my father's hairy fingers stitched its garroted throat angrily to rise again. If we look at this stanza, there is nothing here that tells us about the way the pigeon was moving. So let us look on stanza 2. It says here, he'd seek me out when one of his pigeons, crazed for home or mad with terror from a roaring hawk, would tumble into the loft, mutilated by wire or beak. So here we have the word tumble, and that is the word we will use. Okay, and now we move on to 6.2.5. 6.2.5 says refer to line 38, and it is quoted there that the drip from my bulldozed chest. Here it says choose the correct answer to complete the following sentence. The word bulldozed is an example of A, alliteration, B, oxymoron, C, onomatopoeia, and D, metaphor. Well, this is D. One can write it down and say it is a metaphor. Okay, we have 6.2.6. Here it says refer to stanza 4, and A, it says what tone would the father use in this stanza? Let's go to stanza 4. Stanza 4 says, you see, life is a fight for survival, he'd shout, forgetting he was not lecturing his students or giving his inaugural address. You gotta roll with the punches. Okay, so here he would use a serious or a stern tone. Now let's go to B. B says, why would he use this tone? That is because he would be adamant that his child must become stronger and able to face the challenges in life. He wants her, or one can say he needs her to understand that life is hard. Okay, now let's go to 6.2.7. It says refer to stanza 7, and it say, why does the speaker describe her father's dressing of her wound as practiced? Okay, so let's go to stanza 7. Stanza 7 says, easing with practiced hands the drip from my bulldozed chest, he renewed the plaster in breathing silence, never speaking, never once saying. So here it is said that why does the father or why does the not the narrator but the poet or the speaker describe her father's dressing of her wound as practiced? So we would say it is because he gained previous experience by treating and tending to his pigeons' wounds. Okay, let's go to 6.2.8. It says, do you think the father is justified in emphasizing that life is a bastard? Discuss your view. Okay, so here let's start with yes. And in substantiating that, we would say a father needs to warn his children that life is hard, otherwise they may live in a dream world. Can further say that he uses his life experiences to emphasize on his teaching. And then you can say that his child's chest was bulldozed in an operation which is a good reason for a person to toughen up. Now let's go to no. When you say no, you may give the following points: that it is unfair to put that burden on a child and expect them to anticipate life's bad deeds for years. You can say that the speaker or she finally experiences a bad thing, but her awareness of the tough nature of life does not make it easy to deal with. And you can also say that her father changes his mind in the end, and stops his sayings showing that he has reconsidered.